Your taste buds are better at growing hair than any research paper or professional can ever be. I am AQBS and this is Back to the Barber. In this short video, I am going to break down the 4 common types of taste and how they contribute to hair loss restoration. Many of you have seen videos, articles, and various social media ads and influencers either talk about using a common fruit, vegetable, herb, or botanical for hair growth and or sell a product with those ingredients. I know what you're thinking. If a laboratory-based solution or what I refer to as a human ingenuity product can't reverse my balding, how am I supposed to believe an onion can have any effect? Fair enough, we'll cover that too. You will walk away from this video understanding the bro science, or really ancient science, of taste and its connection to hair growth. Because my entire experience has been natty, but I've heavily studied to reverse engineer the mainstream traditional solutions, I can give you a unique perspective that can further your pursuit of hair maintenance, maximization, and manufacturing despite what you use. Let's get right into it. The 4 types of tastes that we'll cover in this video are: 1. Hot, spicy, zing. These are the stimulants and irritants. 2. Cooling, refresh, mint. These are the vasodilators and calming. 3. Tart, bitter, and sour. These are the anti-immune, gut help. And lastly, 4. Earthy, pungy, sweet. These are the DHT blockers and anti-androgens. Let's first start with the hot, spicy, zing stimulants. They are hot. Heat moves. Heat activates. Heat excites, and heat is energy, or at least it represents energy. Cold hibernates, while hot stimulates or awakens. These foods, mostly used topically after being extracted, pressed, or compounded, lab-wise or homegrown, have the ability to stimulate the hair follicles to stay in anagen or to help to facilitate more rapid growth. Think of them as nitro boosters or premium gas accelerating the hair growth process. I view follicle hair production like it is a 3D hair printer. The hot, spicy zing taste turns the dial up, producing the terminal hair product faster. It also assists with the waking up of the sleepy or intelligent follicles, shortening the resting coma phase, forcing the follicles to once again produce terminal hairs. An energy drink, pretty much, sort of like caffeine. Ironically, it is a stimulant but also a DHT blocker. Like many foods on here have multiple functions, represented by layered tastes that will contain hybrid properties and uses. Coffee is one of those. Garlic as well. It's hot and bitter, making it complex. But back to hot, spicy zing. Take a moment and taste cayenne pepper in your mind. Okay, now ginger. If you hadn't eaten pine needle before, smell it. Rosemary. Take a minute and taste it. Feel the sting of hot, stinging nettle on your skin. Cinnamon, the hot burn and spice of it. Taste it. Oregano, a lot of it. How does it taste on your tongue? That zing, that hotness. Those spicy foods are your natural stimulators. They do for the scalp follicles what they do for the taste buds, that good burn. They are accelerating growth and irritating. To irritate is to awaken. Male pattern balding can be summed up as a comatose gallia with telogen state follicles. Your primary function is to keep the environment active, energetic, moving. This is the nature of hot, spicy zing. How did I come up with this? Well, I first researched natural topical products for hair loss restoration, but over the years, a pretty clear picture began to emerge. As I bought, prepared, experimented with the items over and over again, I began to look for similar fruits and veggies or herbs in the same family, knowing that they would have the same effects or properties. I figured that if I added several together and attempted to make them as potent and concentrated as possible, I could mimic what was on the market, something like minoxidil. If you pay attention to what it feels like when you place it on your scalp, it would have a slight or mild heat to it, and at the same time, a refreshing vasodilation feeling. Which brings us to the next group, cooling, refresh, minty. This group is for vasodilation or blood flow with a secondary calming effect. We understand that minoxidil's specialty is the opening of the blood vessels and to keep blood flow or to increase it. You can think of vasodilators as expanders, the regulators of nutrition and oxygen flow. The more open the transport system is, the more materials such as growth hormones, vital proteins, and vitamins can be extracted and used to build hair. These vasodilators are essential for hair growth because while the stimulants are the energy and the zest, without the open flow of these foods and topicals, arteries, vessels, and the dermal papilla or the straw of the follicle will become narrower, constricted, which creates smaller, weaker hairs in an environment slowly being overtaken by DHT in the form of plaque. I would say that keeping the blood vessels without restriction via plaque and calcification or hardening of the dermal layers is the primary task. You don't need a bigger vessel. You don't need a more efficient follicle. You just need the one that you were born with without blockages or restriction. Although minoxidil expands the blood circulation path, it helps in male pattern balding because our pathways are slowly being miniaturized, which is causing the miniaturization of follicles and the hairs produced. So what are some cool, refreshed minties that you've heard of being used for hair growth? Peppermint. Can you taste the cool? Is that why menthol is in hair growth products? Chamomile tea. Are you familiar? Aloe and its cooling, healing properties. If you take a leaf of aloe, cut it open, and allow the gel to absorb into your skin, you will feel a flushing, cooling effect. Spearmint, like peppermint, refreshes. Have you heard of people using a combination of Vicks Vapor Rub and a stimulant for hair growth? This is why. The vasodilation effect, but not just that. It seems that what is cooling, refreshing, minty, in other words, calming, has a secondary positive effect on the follicles. Follicles are feminine. They are impregnated by rightful androgens in order to grow and nurture their babies, which are terminal hairs. We all know that severe mental and physical stress and high cortisol producing activities can cause a miscarriage of a child. This is why some women are placed on bed rest until term. Operative word term as in terminal. Well, cooling, refreshing, minty seems to inhibit cortisol or to mimic an environment low in cortisol, and this translates to keeping your hair longer with less abortions respectfully. So while these foods open and vasodilate and keeps the blood flowing, all the while allowing the purging and exiting of toxins, the follicles are getting the equivalent of bed rest or massages, helping the labor process go smoothly. Taste the peppermint. Feel the cooling of Vicks Vapor Rub on your skin. Remember what wintergreen gum or Hall's cough drops or even Altoids tastes like and does for the tongue and the throat? The same for the hair follicles. The key takeaway thought is perhaps, how can I create a non-stressful environment for hair follicles using topicals? Now let's talk about tart, bitter, and sour. This group deals with the immune system and or the gut, which is more than likely the trigger for androgenic alopecia. When you study on the gut healing herbs and foods, many come to mind: wormwood, dandelion, aloe leaf, milk thistle, hops, burdock root, apple cider vinegar, and some internal foods: kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, yogurt. All of these are for gut health. Now let's simplify this for you. The foods that cure the gut, the foods that allow good gut health, are the same foods that slow down hair loss, halt it, and allow the regrowth process to occur. Is this why pre and probiotics is important in hair loss restoration? Rather use these foods topically, such as an onion and garlic or milk thistle, or take them internally, they will be bitter and or sour. I can't be the only one as a kid who tasted the milk of the dandelion. It tastes exactly like the bitterness of the aloe leaf, and somehow both are related to healing. It seems also as a secondary function, the tart, bitter, sour taste in foods that cause it are anti-pathogenic. Pathogens, bacteria, and yeast do not like the bitter foods. When consumed, they almost replace the bad gut bacteria with healthy ones. When used topically, the immune responses of infection, irritation, and inflammation slowly goes away. Next time you have an itch on your scalp, I want you to do this. Cut a simple onion, rub it on that particular area of the scalp, and tell me what happens. Within just a few minutes, it will stop itching. Is this why aloe vera rinses work? Why apple cider vinegar rinses work? Not only are we alkalizing the scalp and flushing away acid and buildup, we are literally making an environment that pathogens do not want to live in. And those pathogens, their waste and toxins are literally creating the immune response that is causing hair loss. You have to inhibit it. So it's not that the onion or garlic are magical. They contain properties that assist with male pattern balding. It's not that burdock root and wormwood are just used across the planet for anti-pathogenic properties when taken internally. They also can be used when properly prepared topically to enhance hair growth by inhibiting the immune system response, which then lowers DHT being converted and inhibits cholesterol production, which eventually engulfs the dermal layers. If it's sour to the tongue, then it's like acid to the pathogens. Bitter and tart are the closest things we have to curing the root cause of hair loss, the gut trigger. Incorporate them topically or internally. See, these foods or topicals allow the cooling effect of the minties to work even better, as now inflammation is non-existent. Tart, bitter, and sour doesn't really grow your hair directly. These foods are like the environmental protectors, the regulators, and balancers, so that the vasodilators and the stimulants can perform their direct function of hair growth. When you take a look at these huge multi-million-dollar cosmetic companies and their natural hair oils or topicals, you will find that they are simply combining stimulants with calming and some sort of anti-inflammatory. Now you know why, and now you know how it was possible for me to regrow my hair natty after a decade of being bald. Last but not least, the Earthy, Pungy, Sweet. These are the DHT blockers or the scalp feminizers that balance the androgens, either by inhibiting them and or adding more of an estrogenic property to the scalp directly. Soybeans. We know that it's sweet and it's anti-DHT. Saw palmetto, sweet and inhibits DHT and androgens. Green tea, kind of minty and sweet, creates a more balanced scalp of omega versus the alpha prostate dominated scalp. Carrot oil, pumpkin seeds, DHT blocking. And let us not forget the berries. Antioxidants within fruit have been known to help with immune responses, but also inhibiting DHT. It seems to me that antioxidants help with DHT because by being in the environment, it's less inflammation. With less inflammation, there's less need for turning tests into the inflammation medicine DHT. Have you ever heard of people changing to vegan diets and are using these fruits and vegetable shakes daily that somehow contribute to longer, thicker hair? It's not just because of the added nutrients and minerals, although that helps. The other reason is the scalp is not inflamed, the pathogens are suppressed, and androgens are not running rampant. Earthy, sweet, punchy foods such as coconut oil, almonds, leafy vegetables are the equivalent of natural finasteride. Obviously not identical, but they have the same properties as such. If it's sweet, and you are supposed to stay clear of it as a man, as it replicates estrogen and neutralizes tests, for example soy, then consider it topically for hair loss restoration. As I stated before, there seems to be a sexual component to hair loss, and it's probably through the access or balance of sex hormones, licorice, dung kai, ginseng, and red clover. All of these are your DHT inhibitors and have estrogenic properties as well. I firmly believe through experience that they are not strong enough to go systematic to really cause body changes through the dermal layers to the bloodstream. This is good and bad for hair loss, obviously, and this is why human ingenuity or lab-based solutions for DHT blockers are more proficient. In conclusion, you can really taste what regrows hair. Hot is your stimulant, cool is your vasodilator, bitter is your regulator, and earthy sweet is your DHT blocker. Try to incorporate foods or products that mimic these properties to maximize your regrowth and get your high school hairline back. For further research, you can look into traditional Chinese medicine, traditional African or Mexican medicine, and or ancient Ayurvedic medicine. I haven't discovered anything truthfully. It seems I've just stumbled across what's been known for eons. So like, subscribe, and comment, as iron sharpens iron and we only have each other. And remember, if I can do it, you all can do it too. Let's get you back to the barber.